Live from the Echo Network Studios here in Royal Oak, Michigan, this is Odd Musings. We are your hosts, Brett Pinson.
And I'm Scott Zambelli.
And welcome back to the show this week. We're glad to have you all watching you live on Facebook Live or listening over our streaming network here. Scott, real quick, how you doing, man?
Doing pretty well. I had a pretty good week this week between Free Comic Book Day and my Kickstarter and everything else, so we'll get into some of that.
And then we also saw some Guardians of the Galaxy. A little bit of heads on that. We're going to do a review towards the end of the show. We'll give you a heads up when the spoilers start.
Yes.
We're going to do just a quick what we thought of it here getting into the show this morning. But going to talk about our sponsors. First of all, we have T-24 sponsoring us again this week. They are the exclusive T-shirt company for Odd Musings. More on them as we get into the show here today. I also have boomtownpress.com, which is my website for my comic books. BrettPinson.com is tied into that, as well as your website there, Scott.
Yes, if you go over to Facebook, you can go to facebook.com/theartofscott, and everything goes through there. I have theartofscott.com I'm currently building right now, so soon that will be my central hub for everything.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we have our engineer, Dom, who just stepped out of the room for a second, so everything is running on automatic right now. Well, let's just get right into it today. You know, we've got some cool things. First, those that saw the Defenders trailer, how cool was that?
Yes, Defenders, they just released that trailer this, like 3 days ago?
I think so. And those that know, that's the Netflix series. It's tied into all their current Marvel series. You've got
Daredevil,
yeah.
Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, and Iron Fist.
Yes, which Iron Fist just launched just a couple months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Little mixed reviews on that. I personally enjoyed it. It was an interesting take on it. I think it's going to tie right into the Defenders based on what the trailer shows. And I'm glad they didn't get too deep into who Iron Fist is. They did a lot, but there's a lot more to him as it's going on, and they kind of tied up that basic intro we needed.
Yeah, it seems like the biggest criticism with the Iron Fist had to do with because the production timeline was so compressed that the actor who plays Danny Rand, and I'm blanking on his name right now, he really didn't have the time to put the training in, so he was a very...
You could tell in some of the edits how they did the fight scenes, things like that. My understanding was he only had less than 2 weeks from the time they said you're it to the time they started shooting. It was a very fast shoot. Came across a lot more green screen in that one for some of the stuff they did versus some of the other series they've been doing on Netflix. I don't fault them too much for that because I know they're trying to get to the Defenders series, and then from there lead into more of their Marvel universe that they're doing on Netflix, which I'm really excited about myself.
Definitely. And what's really exciting too is one of the criticisms that Marvel tends to get on their product is their villains development. A lot of complaints there on the cinematic side, but in Netflix though, I thought they did an excellent job with Kilgrave in the Jessica Jones. That to me, he was the highlight of the show. But the big bad villain for the Defenders is Sigourney Weaver.
Yes.
And they're really going big with her. And in an interview they had with Sigourney Weaver talked about how her character they're gonna show a tie-in between how her character ties into the villains in the other four, and that there is a reason the things are happening, and we don't know what that is yet, but they'll unveil.
Well, they initially announced with with the initial run of these series that they were leading up to the Defenders, so there's something they've been planning towards.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's been a lot of hints dropped here and there that we may not even be aware of that were true hints because they wanted to deal with the main stories they were dealing with, but to set up their part of this Marvel universe, because they've had the little hints from the movies. You know, we heard them talk a little bit about the Hulk and the Iron Fist a little bit, without really mentioning his name, things like that. And then, of course, back to the villains, though, we've had some great villains. Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin. Yeah. Oh, my God, just fantastic. And I'm looking forward to seeing more of him. I like what they've done with him. He's been, as I've always liked the Kingpin, he was at the forefront for a minute, but now he's behind the scenes. He's still running things from prison. We're going to probably see him pop out during the Defenders. So definitely, I think it's going to lead to a great show on that. And I personally can't wait. I believe it comes out in August, so it's definitely something. Once it comes out, we'll start doing some talks on that on the air. We'll try to give everybody a couple weeks after it comes out to catch it. I know many people try to binge watch it right away.
Yeah.
As with most Netflix series and that.
Right. Yeah, and back to the Kingpin character, I really like too, they fleshed the character out quite a bit. I like the backstory, and really the evolution of the Kingpin in Daredevil season 1. He wasn't really the Kingpin until the very end.
Right.
And he viewed himself almost as a good guy, and
I think as many villains do, they always feel they are doing what they're doing is good and right
from their point
from
of view.
their point of view.
Yeah. Obi-Wan Kenobi fully supports that.
Yeah.
That certain point of view theory.
And that came through the Jedi Order for 1,000 years.
Exactly.
But and that's where we saw him being a very flawed human being. Got to learn more about the Kingpin in the series, the version they're doing, on his past as a child.
I also
he had to
liked
live through.
I liked how his suits started off as black, and then they went to gray, and at the end it was finally white.
Yeah, well, it really showed the transition to that bad guy aspect of it, being in charge of this big conglomerate of villains in a ways, and being like a mob boss is what he was kind of going for.
Now, I don't know if you've read anything or not. Now, from what I'm reading, I haven't seen any mention of the Punisher in the Defenders, so I'm not sure if he's going to be involved or not.
I would think he would be in some aspect.
Yeah.
I know
I just haven't read anything with his name involved.
They have a second season, because they said after Defenders, we'll get another season of The Punisher, we're going to get another Jessica Jones, Iron Fist.
Yeah, that's when they get into their
Cage.
phase 2.
Right, and they're going to introduce some new stuff. I'm wondering if they're going to be able to tie in some other stuff, kind of as a segue, not to get too off topic from this, did you see that the Inhumans is actually getting a series?
Yes, I did read.
Yes.
Now, is that for sure thing, or is that rumor mill still?
No, that
Okay.
was announced this past week, and it's something you and I hadn't talked about off there yet.
Is that like?
I think it's instead of the movie, they went with a series with it, because they've launched the Inhumans through the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and they're going to a series. It looks like they have different actors to bring in to be not the existing roles, but other Inhumans, and it is their way of doing the mutants from the Marvel Universe.
Is this a network series or a Netflix?
It's an ABC series.
Okay, so it'll be a spin-off of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
In a way, yes, I think
Okay.
it is. They're going to launch it as its own, but because they've already introduced Inhumans, I'm sure there'll be some crossovers. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. just got renewed, I just saw that, so there'll be more of that for those watching that. I'm a little bit behind. I like the series, I just got behind. There's so much content out there, it's hard to keep up sometimes.
It really is, and that's where the binge watching model kind of is nice, because once you get a series on your mind, you can just take care of it instead of having to remember every
Exactly.
week. I know Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I was watching it regularly up to, I think it was the halfway point of this season. It was the end of the Ghost Rider
Yeah, that was this
storyline.
season, yeah. And they're bringing Ghost Rider back, I saw in the previews for the finale.
Oh, they are, okay.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that part, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. it's been I've enjoyed it from the start, but it started off a little shaky, and I think a big part of that had to do with the Marvel Cinematic side, because they had the falling out between the heads of the TV and the cinema side, where the direction Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was going, where they were going to be tying into the movie, suddenly got pulled out from under them.
Yeah, and they did tie a little bit, and they do, I think, they've gone their own direction, which I kind of like, that they are doing their own thing, where it's still that same universe. It doesn't have to mirror everything in the movies. They can reference things like that, but doing their own thing has allowed them to develop more stories, bring in different characters. Ghost Rider being a character, I think, is great, because he's not the same Ghost Rider from the movies that we've seen with Nicolas Cage. He's a different version of Ghost Rider. With people that read the comics, there is several different Ghost Riders that have been through the years. So.
Now, what I'm really curious about too is with like for instance, the Inhumans, with the TV and studios not really talking. And at last I checked, which was 2 or 3 weeks ago, Inhumans is still slated as a movie.
And you and I did talk about that, and and it's a couple of things I had seen that they had been pulled off, but they're changing what they're doing direction in the movies. Their phases are changing, and I think what it is they realize they've reached a certain point. Actors are starting to talk about they may, as much as they may love being the characters, physically that may not be something they want to continue to do.
Right.
Because there is a lot of action involved, stuff like that.
Yeah, but what I'm curious about, now the official statement from Marvel was Inhumans was never taken off, it's just it didn't fit in the current storyline, and they pushed it back, I think it was 1 or 2 years.
Right.
But what I'm curious about is if they're going to go with the TV series, will they then cross over using same actors, same characters into the cinema side if they're going to do the cinema side? Because if they're not talking, will they want to do that?
Well, I think it would do themselves a disservice to have a TV series called The Inhumans, and then do a movie called Inhumans, but not reference each other.
Exactly.
That's one of the things I'm really disappointed in DC having a Flash movie, and they have a Flash TV show, and they're not referencing it. They're calling it a different universe, a different world,
Right.
which is fine. But you have already a show that's 3 seasons in that has a good following. You have an existing Flash, and even if he's not the Flash they want to use, because they have established the multiverse within the TV show, I think he should make an appearance, in my opinion, as something to kind of tie it in. But DC doesn't want to tie the TV to their movies, and I think that's where Marvel was doing better with the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., was having and it's a light tie-in too. It's nothing major on that, so and I enjoyed that myself, especially when they mentioned things like what happened in Thor, what happened in Captain America.
Right. Or even like the crossover with Lady Sif, that was really cool.
When Hydra took over,
Right.
And that, so. Anything else you have on that topic there, Scott? I think we've covered Defenders a lot. I think it's gonna be an awesome show, good trailer.
Yeah, very happy with the way Netflix has been handling things. I really love the Netflix model. It gives us a way of going a little deeper into the character development than you can get in a movie, which it's a good balance between you get the quality of a movie, but you get the character development of a TV series.
And that's what I felt with all the Marvel series on there. It's been basically one long movie, but not long drawn out. And you can watch 2-3 hours of it, and then come back later, and you've seen some good episodes, but it's all tying into that bigger story they're building towards the end. And I think it's a model that I'd like to see more and more. I think that's why Netflix is leading right now on a lot of content, is because of the model they've established and gone from there.
Yeah, well, I think too, the benefit that Netflix has is with the networks, because they are investing in 22 episodes or whatever it is in a year, that's a huge financial commitment.
Yes.
Whereas the Netflix model, they're filming a whole season in a chunk, and they're only doing 8 to 12 episodes.
Right.
So I mean, they're doing basically half seasons or less.
Yeah.
So a lot smaller financial commitment, and it allows them to experiment a little more, go with more of an independent storyline that the networks can't take that risk.
Right, and I mean, similar to the HBO model of doing series, is what Netflix is doing, shorter seasons. Personally, I like it because if you watch a lot of the series out there, and there's some I really enjoy, 22 to 24 episodes in a year, you're going to have 8 to 10 that I call filler episodes. And they're episodes that really have no bearing on the season as a whole,
Right.
but they had to fill the spot. And while it may be an okay episode, or it may be really good, it doesn't develop the characters further than when they've been for this whole season.
Right.
And I've seen a lot, like one of the shows I love is NCIS, and they'll have episodes that the entire episode is, here's the story, but they let you hang in from the week before on their ongoing story. So waiting for the big bad guy they usually have towards the end, or what they're leading towards. And it's fun, but at the same time it can be too much. And that's why I really enjoy these Netflix, whether it be the Marvel Universe stuff, different series they got going on. Stranger Things is still my favorite thing on there.
Yeah, that was great, and we got season 2 coming up not far away.
Yeah, can't wait to talk about that once we see that in the fall. So that's gonna be a big time on that.
Awesome.
Alan's over there shaking his head, so he must like Stranger Things also. We have our guest, our friend Alan, hanging out in the studio with us today. He's standing mute over on the side there. We'll give you a quick plug. Chubby Duck down in Detroit, good sushi.
There you go. And talking about, let's give a shout out too to our sponsor, T-24.
Yeah, I think that's good. We got to pay some bills real quick, guys. So we're going to do a quick ad copy here for them. Love these guys. The shirts are awesome. Those watching the Facebook Live, Scott's wearing the Thor,
and it's styled after the AC/DC logo. So there you go.
God of Thunder, And but being that we're sponsored by T-24, they create unique pop culture T-shirts and vinyl decals. At T-24.com, you're going to find over 140 graphic tees and hundreds of vinyl decals based on your favorite movies, TV shows, comic books, and video games. As we said, Scott's wearing the shirts. I wore one last week. I've got to get a few new shirts for them. I got a little chubby, so they got a little small on me, but so I think they shrunk in my closet. But that's not an indication of the shirt.
I hate when the shirts do
It's
that.
me. They fit fine after our first couple washes, and I ate too much. But But you go to t-24.com, and again, it's www.t-teeminus.4.com, and check out all the stuff they have. We have a coupon for you guys. Enter ODD at checkout. You're going to get 10% off your entire purchase. And are they still doing free shipping, do you know? I believe they're still doing free shipping.
Yes, the shipping is included in the price, so you don't have to pay extra.
So there you go. Free shipping, 10% off. Order many as you can.
And they got a wide variety of shirts. There a lot of humor. And what's nice about T-24 is it's actually their designs. They're designing it themselves.
Yep.
They're printing them themselves, and so it's an American-made designs and printing.
Yeah, it's their own business in that. For those that are following them, just so you guys know, they're going to be at this weekend, so May 13th and 14th, Tidewater Comic-Con in Virginia Beach. They'll be hanging out down there, so come in, you can get live t-shirts from them. No mailing needed, you'll be picking up there.
Live t-shirts.
Live t-shirts, yes.
Do they move on their own, or
Yeah.
what?
And you go in there and you can see Vinny and Lisa hanging out at the booth. I'm not sure if they have another booth babe like they did when Scott was working for them.
Yeah, I am an excellent booth babe.
And then, of course, we get to hang out with them at the Motor City Comic Con, May 19th through the 21st. Looking
Yes.
forward to that. Besides being our sponsor, they're good friends of ours, so we definitely like to promote them as much as possible. So again, t-24.com. There's a link on oddmusings.com right to their store, so definitely check them out.
One more shout out for T-24 too. Jen from Florida is chiming in on our Facebook feed, and she's actually purchased shirts from them in the past at a former Comic-Con that she was at. So she's just saying that she really loves their shirts. And
You know, what's funny is I do see their
thumbs up.
shirts around shows even when they're not there.
Mhm.
So I know people at different shows pick them up, wear them to other shows.
Yes.
I've watched people that have bought their shirts right there, put them on. They're really good quality shirts, and we're not just because they're paying to be our sponsor, but we
And,
really do like them.
Connie, the Comic-Con mom, also known as Brett's mom.
Oh, hey, Mom.
She's also listening here, and she wants to remind everyone that Father's Day is coming up.
Well, it's
That's-
also Mother's Day this coming Sunday.
So
And
T-shirts would make a great gift for either. So
yeah.
for
Well, let's talk about my mom for just a minute.
All right.
Because she is known as the Comic-Con mom, as dubbed by Dominic, our engineer.
That was me?
Yeah,
Oh,
you're the
okay.
first one to call her the Comic-Con mom. I mean, everybody calls her mom at the cons.
I get a cut.
Hey,
You know.
10%?
Yeah.
Dominic has a standard 10% fee on
Yeah,
everything.
he gets 10% net, not gross.
If he shakes your hand, you owe him 10% of all future earnings.
Right.
Negotiations start at 10%.
Yeah, yeah. I think we're gonna have to brand her as the Comic-Con mom. Maybe we'll do
Sure.
some T-shirts through the Odd Network and
Yeah.
stuff.
We-
She's got her own fan base.
She does.
You know? So she has people that come up that have seen me at the show. They go, "Well, who are you?" I was like, "Well, I'm Brett. I wrote the comics. I'm the artist here." Oh, well, I only deal with your mom, so your mom's awesome.
We thought it was her booth.
Yeah, you know. So yeah, you go. We didn't know who the person was. So, and then she likes to make lots of friends out there. We've talked about it on Dominic's podcast. You know, Eric Estrada is a big admirer of my mom, and we
Yeah,
got-
doesn't he swear he went to school with her? Even though she
He
didn't?
swears.
He
and that's-
swears.
I can't wait to see him again sometime and say, "Oh, here's my mom. You guys went to school together," you know.
Yep.
And all that
Yeah.
stuff.
So yeah, one of these days we'll get Connie back in the studio so she can share some of those stories with the listeners here.
Yeah, she's gonna be traveling. She'll be at Motor City Comic Con with us. She'll be with me up in Traverse City for Cherry Capital Con on Memorial Weekend, which you'll be in Phoenix.
Yes, I'll be in Phoenix.
And then together, we're all going to be in Las Vegas towards the end of June. We'll have dates up on the website for the amazing Las Vegas Comic Con,
Yeah.
followed by the Denver Comic Con.
Yeah, our full schedule for May and June is up on the main page of oddmusings.com.
So she does come around. She helps out greatly at the shows, covering tables for not just myself, but also for other people that she calls her Comic Con kids.
Yeah, and Sean's confirming online here that Mom is great. So
Yeah,
he's looking forward to seeing her again.
yeah. Mom has her own fan base, I swear. So come get her autograph. Buy something from her. She always feels good when you buy something. That means I have to take her out to dinner. So, and
Yep.
she likes to have good meals. She doesn't just want me to take her to Taco Bell and let her order the a la carte dollar menu. So,
Indeed, definitely.
though according to another friend of mine, Kevin, she seems to love Taco Bell, which I know she likes tacos. So, so that's why we have Taco Tuesdays. So, all right, we better move on because she's probably getting embarrassed now. So, a little quick, Guardians of the Galaxy. We saw that.
Yeah, let's start off with a spoiler-free review, just for those listening, and then we'll segue and we'll give an alert once we get into the actual details. So
Yeah.
anybody who wants to tune out, and then you can listen to the remainder of the show on replay after you've seen it.
Yeah, and those that have already seen it, stay tuned. We're going to talk a little. We're not going to get in depth. We'll definitely talk about what we liked about it and have some fun with that. For me, I mentioned last week I was going to the Imagine in Canton and do the double feature.
Mhm.
So I did do that. Got some really cool swag while I was there. They handed out a 12 by 12 poster, kind of like an album cover for the movie, a couple buttons. And in between the two movies, I answered a trivia question and won the soundtrack, which is really good. I enjoyed the music on that. It's a lot of songs I'd heard over the years, and for some reason I didn't have into my music library for digital, so it's great to add those this week. And it saved me like $12 by winning it, so.
Nice. Yeah, for me, I really enjoyed it a lot. Now, you had an interesting perspective because you saw it as a double feature, so you got to see them back to back.
Right.
So the first one was fresh in your mind, and you got to experience how it flows from one movie to the other. How was that for you?
I personally, I thought it was great. The way the movie starts off with the second one, you can tell some time has passed, not tons of time. That's not a spoiler on that. The opening sequence had a very much mirrored in some ways the first movie, kind of into comedy and what they're doing to kind of draw you in.
Yep.
And once you're into it, you're stuck in this movie through the entire ride, and it goes fast. I didn't believe how long it was. It was like, wow, this is over 2 hours. And
I think it's 2.5.
yeah, it goes quick. It's one of those movies that you're not bored at all. It really has a lot going on, a lot of story, a lot of fun. Really enjoyed the characterization. You see the growth of the character, especially seeing the first movie to the second movie. There definitely the growth was there. In a lot of ways, it almost felt like both movies together were one movie, but definitely a little bit of break. Similar to kind of reference back to Stranger Things. They're doing their seasons as like 8-episode movies, and they're not calling it season 2. It's just the second Stranger Things.
Right. Awesome. And on the Breadometer, how do you rate this movie?
I rate it right up there with the first one.
Okay.
I think it's a great film. I don't try to do too in depth on my reviews. My reviews are always should you see it or not. Definitely worth seeing.
Oh, definitely.
I think it's again one of the best sci-fi movies that have come out in several years. Star Wars not included on that, but just being really an independent sci-fi movie compared to everything else that's been out for the last 15 years.
Right.
It's a whole departure from that.
All right.
I love what they do. I love the fact that they're doing the Marvel Universe,
Yep.
the Universal part.
So Brett says go see it.
Yes, definitely.
And I'm in the same boat. I saw it. I really enjoyed it. A lot of people now I don't recall. I've had some comments through Facebook, people saying that the language was much worse in this one. To me, it seemed the same.
It felt the same. I
They
didn't
had the
feel
same
like
innuendo. They had innuendo and things, but nothing that really was over the
I
top.
didn't think it was bad
Yeah.
language. Now when I go see it again, which I will be, I'll have to pay better attention to that. The hardest part with a movie like this is when you're as excited as I was to see it,
Right.
you're not paying attention to little nuances like the language and stuff like that.
Right.
And you may notice on our podcast, we really try to keep our podcast very family friendly when it comes to
Yeah.
language, stuff like that. And not that I'm against any swearing or anything like that, but we want anybody to listen to it. And I think with Guardians, they're trying to do the same thing because they know a lot of kids. I had a lot of kids at my show.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't.
So-
I don't recall anything that would make me say no. Don't. If you saw the first Guardians and you're comfortable with that, you're safe.
Yeah.
And if your kid saw Deadpool, then you're definitely safe.
Yeah, this was nowhere near Deadpool.
I still can't believe how many 4-year-olds were in Deadpool when I saw it. It's like,
Well,
what?
what gets me is the parents that complain afterwards. It's like, wait a minute, they did a whole commercial they aired for a week ahead of time saying, "Do not bring your kids. This is not a joke. Do not bring your kids."
Yeah.
And but I really enjoyed this. I'm glad they're coming back. Not just we're going to see them in the Infinity War movie next year. They've already been greenlit for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And we'll get a little bit more on the spoiler stuff. It talks a little bit about what we saw on that.
Yeah.
Those. But I think we need to kind of segue a little bit here, and I want to talk about your Kickstarter because your Kickstarter ended.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get away before we run out of time today and not talk about that. You ended up last Thursday, correct?
Correct, on May the 4th.
Yes, May the 4th, which was Star Wars Days.
Star
We all
Wars Day.
celebrated that. I know I did in my Star Wars shirt watching Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, so just to let people know, so in addition to doing this podcast, Brett and I both publish and produce our own comic books. We do art and other things like that. And my Kickstarter is for, my book is called Emmanuel, God With Us. It's a Bible-based comic book. And the Kickstarter ended on May 4th, and we finished just over $3,000.
So now you have to color it.
Yes, the stretch goal. I had various stretch goals. We made it to the third stretch goal.
Right.
So we made through, and the third one was if we broke $3,000, I would print it in full color. So unfortunately, my deadline's the same. So now I got to fully color the issue before.
Now let's start. How many pages is your comic?
It's going to be it's 28 pages,
Okay.
and I just finished the design of the cover where the logo and layout is going to be.
And I
So
saw
just
that. It looks
finished
really good.
Yeah.
I like that.
And I'm really excited because my good friend and mentor, Chris Scalf, I was able, through the money raised on the Kickstarter, the stretch goal number 2 was that I could hire him to be my cover artist. And what's awesome about that is he's been in the industry a long time. He's done, he was the original Battlestar Galactica comic book that was out 20 years ago.
Oh, yeah, I read those. In fact,
Yeah.
I had those.
Well, he was the full-blown artist, and that back in those days, he hand-painted all of the pages.
Those were fantastic. I didn't
Oh,
realize
yeah.
he hand painted those.
Yeah, they were all hand-painted and airbrushed, and his art's amazing, but he's also a good friend and mentor of mine. He's taught me much of what I know, and so it was nice that I was able to commission him for this, because even on more recent stuff, he did a lot with the Star Wars series for when it was with Dark Horse Comics.
Okay.
He did the Jango Fett series, and he did lots of covers. A lot of stuff for Godzilla too. He's a huge Godzilla fan. When you go to Chris's house, he's got like 100 different Godzillas in there.
Well, you got the fans like me that I love the movies. I don't have a lot of Godzilla stuff.
Mhm.
But the true fans, you walk in their house, it's like walking into
Oh, yeah.
a Godzilla thrift store or something.
Yeah, it's always fun too, because when I draw with Chris, we go down to his basement, and he's got a fully finished basement, but that's where his art studio is. And what he loves to do is he'll buy old VHS tapes with just hours and hours of 80s TV.
Okay.
So, and he has that playing, so we'll watch like the Incredible Hulk series from when it aired, so you have all
Right.
the old commercials too.
Okay.
And
So that's stuff he recorded back in the day then?
No, well, he
Or
buys
buys
it.
from people that you record. Okay.
He buys it because he's seen his a million times. So
Right.
then what you do is the secret, if you do like that stuff, is you go on eBay. Technically, they can't sell like the Incredible Hulk series on VHS.
Right.
So what they do is they sell old VHS tapes for you to re-record over that just happen to have the Incredible Hulk on it.
I know there's different groups out there that trade this stuff. I've seen that through different online forums.
Yes.
And because it's really cool to see those series, because I've seen a couple online even that people have posted with the original commercials.
Mhm.
And you forget sometimes how cheesy the commercial was, or that old toy commercial that's no longer being made.
And that's what's so awesome about it, because the shows themselves, it's fun watching the original airings, but then you see the commercials, and you just forget how the toy commercials were back then. Or some Underoos commercial pops on the screen, and it's like, oh my god, I had those.
Yeah, I definitely grew up with some Underoos, and
Yeah.
it was neat to see them come back even in adult sizes now. And actually, I look at them going, okay, every way they show weighs like $1.20, and I'm tipping more than that.
What's really funny too is every now and then you'll be looking, and it's like, who's that kid? And it turns
Yeah.
out it's some big star today.
Yeah.
Like Kurt Russell is
Well, he did
famous
all
one.
kinds of stuff as a child
Yeah.
actor.
I think his first one,
Disney
it was
and-
a toy gun commercial. I think was his very first. If I
They had a
remember
lot of
right.
those in the 60s.
Yeah.
Because that was big with the World War II era stuff, even though it was the Vietnam era.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Kickstarter was good. I'm shooting to have it fully published by, so when I go to San Diego Comic-Con, I'll be able to bring copies there.
Yeah.
So if all goes well, in about 4 weeks, my book will be fully done and printed up for July. So that's the
Awesome.
goal. Yeah.
I think it's great. I was real excited about it. I was a supporter, so I made sure to do that. So nice about that is you don't have to mail it to me because I see you enough, but save you on the shipping there.
There you go.
But I think it was a worthwhile project, and as a Christian, I think it was really cool to see what you're doing with that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and so I'm real excited to read this. And this is only the first of a series you're planning on doing, correct?
That is correct. I spent a year and a half to 2 years just writing the entire script. To do so, what I did is long story short, without getting it into a Bible study, is I took the 4 Gospels and combined them into one complete chronological story. So, because typically with biblically based comic books, because it's so complex, they typically summarize the stories in
Right.
comic book format. I'm not summarizing, I'm doing it all. So it took me a year and a half to 2 years just to write the script out. Once that got done, then it was time to start drawing. And it's been, you know.
And you've been posting pages though along the
Oh,
way,
yeah,
so
yeah. Right now I'm on page 22 of the 28 pages as far as the shading is done. The pages 23 through 28 are drawn out and the flat grays are in there.
Right.
And then I gotta go back and do the colors now, so.
Very cool.
Yeah,
Very
it's
cool. I think
coming
it's
along good.
exciting, and I look forward to seeing more from that from you, Scott. And
Yeah, thank you.
as well as some other projects we'll be announcing on air in the next few months.
Yep, we got some collaborations we're excited to announce in the future that they're in our secret laboratory right now as we try to mix some chemical X into it or whatever it's called.
And they're going to be funly odd.
Yes, yes they will. So that'll be a tease for
Yeah.
future stuff.
Yeah, so you'll be hearing something on that fairly sooner than later, hopefully, on that.
Yeah. So, and we just spoke about Kurt Russell a little bit there. So you want to segue into the Guardians, or did you have anything else?
I think let's segue into the Guardians here. So this is our warning to everybody. So real quick, you guys are listening to Odd Musings. We're here at the Echo Network. We're not signing off just yet. We're going to go into our spoiler review for Guardians and talk about things we liked in the movie. We're going to make some quotes. So Alan's taking his headphones off, and I think he's going to step
Have you
out
not
to the
seen it
lobby.
yet?
I haven't seen it.
All right, so
No.
Alan's gonna leave the
And
studio into our fine sofa in the lobby
He's
there.
gonna leave the city.
Yeah.
Donovan, you saw it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah, so feel free if you want to chime in.
Yeah, if you
I,
want to.
I just had one question about
Yes.
your book before we go into that.
Yeah.
When you said, did you adapt it? When you said you wrote the script, it took you 2 years to adapt from the Bible to your story?
Yeah, so what I did is I used there's a translation called the World English Bible.
Yeah.
And it's very similar to the NIV version for the translation. But the key difference is they made this translation to be royalty free. It's open source. They allow anybody to use it.
Okay.
Whereas NIV and some of the others, it's a huge fee you got to pay just
Yeah.
to, you got to pay like $1,500 or something just to get the copy. Then you got to pay them like a royalty on every sale.
Right.
It was insane. I'm like, I'm just a little guy.
Right.
Yeah.
So the storytelling format in the Bible is kind of
Yeah.
difficult to adapt, I'd imagine. To a
Right.
comic book.
So what I did is I had the World English Bible, which was my source verbiage.
Mhm.
And then I used a couple different chronological Bibles that order the stories into what the scholars believe is the accurate order
Mhm.
of everything. What's nice about that is you get a lot of simultaneous stories between the scriptures. So
Right.
this helps you line it up. So I mapped out all the scripture word for word, like cut and paste it into the order that it would appear. And then that became my kind of transcript, so to speak,
Mhm.
that I then went through and massaged to make it flow, so the sentences went together and
Right.
everything, with doing my best to not actually change. As much as possible, I try to keep the words as they originally are.
That's good because the Bible can be confusing as far as being linear at times.
Oh, yeah.
Especially for kids.
Well, and here's a good example. I'll just throw this out before we go over to Guardians.
Yeah.
The Bible itself, the standpoint I took was it's 100% accurate in the testimony between the four different Gospels.
Mhm.
But they are eyewitness testimonies. So you do get slight variances. But the variances that occur they don't change the message. The message
Yeah.
itself is consistent. But the variations are the same variations that would appear if a policeman was taking down testimony at a scene.
Yeah.
All four eyewitnesses could be given accurate accounts from where they were standing, but there could be things that seem odd. So one example I give is the story of Legion, the demon-possessed man. That appears in 3 of the Gospels. In 2 of them, it talks about one man who was demon-possessed, and he spoke to everyone. And in the other one, it talks about 2 demon-possessed men who spoke simultaneously. So that seems like a conflict. So when you look at that, though, what I looked at is how was the scene arranged so that the different eyewitness testimonies would make sense. So for instance, if both men were standing side by side, it wouldn't make sense for some people to say 1 and some people say 2. So what I did is I laid out the scene where, okay, if one man was in the forefront and one man was back and the crowd wrapped around, the people who were near the man in the forefront, they would have only noticed one, because they're like, they're crapping themselves saying, oh my God, this man is nuts. But then the people wrapped around, they're getting a side shot, they're seeing two men clearly.
Right.
So the part of my 2 years was also, wherever I found these differences, it's like, okay, if both accounts are accurate, how was this scene laid out for both accounts to be accurate?
Right.
So that's what I did, and
Cool.
it took a while, but,
It's interesting.
I'm not saying it's gonna be perfect, but,
Well, I think I mean, as humans, we are not perfect as much as we
Right.
want to be,
Speak for yourself.
except for Dom.
Well, before you guys get back to the Guardians of the
Yes.
Galaxy
Yeah.
spoiler review, we started a little late, so you guys can go to 10 after. So just so you know,
Okay.
you've got that.
Okay, so we got,
You got plenty of time.
all
okay.
right, thank you very much, Dominic.
Yep.
All right, so
Okay.
here we go, this is your last warning.
Let me know when I should go grab
Alan?
Alan,
Okay, okay.
All right, so,
Yep.
we're now in the spoiler review, Brett, for Guardians.
Yep. My big thing was, just the start off, you got, them fighting the monster they're fighting at the beginning of the movie. What I loved about it, was that whole opening sequence was you saw them together as a team, what they're doing, still have their own bickering that they're gonna have, which I love that they, are bickering as a team, that they're not this perfect team.
Yeah.
But
Well, I think the big part, what made Guardians really good was, Guardians 1, they had this, everything centers around Peter and
Yeah.
his search for family. And the definition of what is family. And
But I think it wasn't even just Peter, though. It was, the first one really
well,
covered.
yeah, but Peter is the fulcrum of the whole thing.
He's the central point, and of course, it was a little bit of family for him. It was also finding his way in this universe that he's not been a part of now for 26 years. But then when you look at everybody else, the entire Guardians that they put together all had that same core value
Right.
of wanting family.
Right.
For Gamora, she wanted family. She was Thanos, daughter of Thanos, adopted, but that's not the family she wanted.
Right.
Drax lost his family, so he had even though he didn't want it, or in terms of voicing it, he wanted family.
Right.
And that's where they became. Rocket and Groot were already a family,
Right.
and the things they were looking for, they didn't realize, and that's where the start of the second movie.
Exactly.
There it is.
Well, and that's what I'm getting at is they
Yeah.
took this concept of family and characters that occurred in the first movie,
Yep.
and they avoided the sequel curse in that they took these concepts and they expanded them even more,
Right.
and they went deeper. Each of the characters, they explored what is the meaning of family. Like, and I think Drax is the one that says it, where Nebula's like, "You guys don't even like each other," and he's like, "You're right,
But we're family.
but we're family,"
Yeah.
or something like that.
It's the effect, and that's really what shows a family. Is family doesn't have to always be perfect. Family doesn't always have to get along. They're not always going to agree with each other. The thing is when it comes down to the nitty gritty, who's there and who's got your back, and true family has that. And it doesn't always have to be blood relations. That's what they showed, is that
Right.
they came together as this group, this family. They explored more of the tension between Gamora and Star-Lord, which we saw in the first one. They already built that up, and it came pretty naturally, in my opinion, in the first movie. And watching them back to back like I did, you could see that really develop, I think,
Yeah.
properly. I liked how they handled that. What I liked about that opening scene though was it really mirrored the first movie with Groot this time in the place of Star-Lord dancing around as the battle's going on. There wasn't a battle in the first one; he was just dancing around to get you into the thing. But it was that lighthearted funness to it, and that's where I really enjoyed that. And Baby Groot really stole the show.
Baby Groot was great. I love Baby Groot was awesome,
Yeah.
but I think the surprise, other than David Hasselhoff,
Right.
who was amazing as Star-Lord's unexpected father.
Yeah. 5 seconds in, and that's all you get. But it was perfect.
We find out David Hasselhoff is the symbolic father that Peter had while he was a child. That's who he looked up to, wishing was his father.
Yeah, and he brings out the picture of him with that, and I like how he explains to Gamora about the talking car, similar to the whole Kevin Bacon thing, which was referenced again. It's kind of neat to see you try to explain '80s television pop culture.
To somebody who has zero knowledge.
Yeah, it has no understanding of what is pop culture. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
We don't have TV shows in space. Yeah.
It's almost like I was trying to explain our regular careers at Comic-Cons to a normal person.
You do this for a living?
Wait a minute, there's all these people dressed up. What?
Slight segue. I don't know how many times you get asked, but you get asked like, just everybody here just toured together and moved from city to city,
Yeah.
like we're a traveling circus or something.
Well, we kind of are. About
Yeah.
probably what? 40% probably of a show floor. We see all over the place.
We do have a lot of people. We
A
see
lot of
at
our friends we
shows,
see
yeah.
all over.
It's
I always
hilarious.
say it is kind of a ragtag group. We're almost like the Guardians of the Galaxy on the road. You know,
Yeah.
we got the other certain artists we all gravitate towards and travel with, and you kind of become this on the road dysfunctional family.
Yeah, we have a lot of that. We have dinner with people all the
Especially
time.
when Dominic's with us.
Yeah,
He puts the fun in dysfunction.
We're just carnies.
Carnies.
I've been joking for years that I was Marvin the Mind Reader with the traveling circus. And now I guess, you know.
Yep. And then, and Kurt Russell in there. He was great.
Did you see what I shared on Musings.com?
Yes.
Okay, we got to talk about this. Both of us, after seeing the movie, we were at Free Comic Day talking about the movie to each other, and we're like, man, how great was that CGI for Kurt Russell? It was 90% not CGI.
Yeah.
It was makeup,
just
hair,
old-fashioned makeup technique.
and he was out there. He was talking and said, "No, I have this guy who's been with me forever."
Yeah,
so he
26
knows
years,
me,
I think
yeah.
he said, but
And they did a fan. There was some enhancement done, but it was all him pretty
it was
much.
all, it was
And they only
90% makeup. They
Yeah,
said.
and I looked at it going, wow, it looks like he just walked off the set of Escape from New York.
Yeah.
It's just before he would have done Big Trouble in Little China.
Well, they have no excuse now not to make a Big Trouble in Little China 2.
Well,
He can look young enough.
the only excuse they have, and this is what John Carpenter and him have both said, is they would love to do it, except the movie never made money and they don't own it.
True.
And because of that, we probably will never see that. But I've read some of the comics they did that took off. Eric Powell, who does the Goon, wrote some great stuff on that. But I'm a big Kurt Russell fan, so seeing him in Guardians,
Yeah.
I mean, I
really
knew he
like
was
that.
going to be in it because they announced him, and I knew he was Star-Lord's father because they kind of put that out there in the early trailers, which I wish they would not have, but that's one of the things they're going to do. But it came early enough in the film, in the first, basically third of the movie, that it was going to happen easy anyway. So it didn't look like
Yeah.
the ending. And we
Right.
had
It
to deal
wasn't
with the whole thing.
the way they dealt with it. It was never a big reveal. We
Yeah.
always expected. But I agree. It would have been cool to see the 1-inch man as a surprise.
That was fun. Yeah, I like the group they were helping out with at the beginning. They were protecting these batteries from being stolen from this planet. And forgive me, I'm forgetting who they were, but what they end up doing is, and we're going to get to the after things, is that's where the Adam Warlock character is going to come from. Is this planet? They're a planet of what they feel is perfection. And that's where the Adam Warlock character is going to come in for Guardians of the Galaxy 3, from everything I'm reading now.
Well, there's that, and then we had the cut scene that I was looking forward to
Yeah.
with Nathan Fillion.
Yes.
He did post a photo showing what he looked like in the film, and he was playing Wonder Man.
Yeah.
So his scene was cut.
Yeah.
But he looked cool in the makeup. I don't know if you saw that or not.
I did see that. I think
Yeah.
I like Wonder Man. I used to read the comics back in the day, and
Mhm.
especially through the '90s, I liked those a lot. And that's a character I'd like to see pop up, and I think he'd be a fun character in the Marvel universe.
Right.
That's one of the things I love about the Guardians is how much fun they're having. The other movies are really good, and you can see a lot of fun, but they're having just way too much fun. I'm shocked they're able to get the movie done as quick as they did because from all the laughter they're probably doing through the whole thing.
Right. Now, Brian's asking us, he really wants to know our thoughts on the end credit scenes.
But yeah, I liked them. We had
There were 5.
There were 5.
So by
Yeah.
far the most, and one actually, I mean, it was a pre-credit scene.
Right.
Because it was after the movie, but before the credits. So now we have pre, mid, and post-credit scenes to
Well,
keep track of.
and everything that we saw though in the credits was setting up for a little bit of Infinity War, which is going to happen in the future, as well as progressing some age.
Yeah.
Because we had the
Well, you had the first scene, which was Sean Gunn's character. I always forget his name in there, the Ravager, who
Right.
Rondo's right-hand man.
which he'll be at I believe Motor City Comic Con with us.
He is. That is
Yeah.
correct. And so that's in 2 weekends. So come on down.
A
Sean
week-
Gunn and
a week from this Friday.
Oh my gosh!
It's
already.
coming up fast already. So he's going to be there, and for those that aren't fans of the Marvel Universe, he was in Gilmore Girls, so you can come out and see him for that.
Which T-24, our sponsor, does have a Gilmore Girls shirt.
Yes, Star
also.
Hollow shirt.
So,
Yes, it was a
just
big hit
like
after
that.
the series came out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that scene. He was learning how to use. For those, here's your spoiler. Yondu dies at the end. I want to talk about that in just a minute.
We'll get back to
But
Yondu.
on the scene with him though, he was trying to learn how to use the arrow. He got the arrow, Yondu's arrow, as well as the older Mohawk attachment, which was a reference back to the original Yondu from the comic books.
It was also an acknowledgement to, with, I almost feel like we should talk about Yondu first since he plays such a role
Yeah.
in these. With Peter, finally accepting Yondu as his father,
Right.
as his dad, and recognizing what Yondu was in his
And I
life.
loved how Yondu put it to him. He said, "Hey, he may have been your father, but he wasn't your dad, boy." And that's when Star-Lord's like, "Yeah, you were my dad." As much as Yondu was kind of a jerk to him, and even admitted the same thing that Star-Lord said earlier on. Why do you keep him? Well, he's small and he can fit in tight spaces.
Yeah.
They're thieves. I mean, they're
But
a den of thieves.
he acknowledged it. Let's wait on the credits because we got to cover Yondu
Yeah.
because
We'll come
we're
back
going to
to
be referencing him so much.
Yeah.
So in here we get the interesting dichotomy between you have this boy who has been yearning to find his dad his whole life, and he finally finds him, and he's a god.
Yeah.
He's perfect. He can give him anything he wants. He's everything he ever dreamed of. But then it turns out he's not. He's actually a bad guy.
Yeah.
And you can have all this, but we just got to kill everybody to do it.
Because he wants to remake the entire universe in his image.
Right. And I did find somebody actually made an interesting reference to actually biblically speaking how
Yeah.
you had the Holy Trinity in a way where you had Kurt Russell was the Father,
Yeah.
the light within the planet was the Holy Spirit, and Peter was the
So,
Jesus figure.
yeah.
And it was interesting. They even had Peter skewed with his arms out.
Yeah.
So just a side note, that was an interesting observation
Yeah.
Bob the artist made.
But you know, Yondu, what I liked through the movie with him was first you get him as he's trying to get revenge against Peter, but at the same time he always holds back, and his own guys are calling him out on it left and right, including Sean Gunn's character, who did
Right.
it the most vocal at one point. And what we see is basically the Ravagers basically say, "Yondu, you're done," and they beat him up,
Right.
lock him up with Rocket, and Baby Groot's there, and they basically take them as hostages. So what ends up happening is you've got Yondu who's reflecting and going, "You know what? Yeah, I know I'm not a Ravager." You had there's so much to cover on this part because you go back to even Stallone being in it, saying, "Hey, hey Aunt Lisa, how you doing?" Stallone shows up as a Ravager and basically tells Yondu, "You're not a real Ravager anymore. You're not part of the Guild."
Right.
Which you can tell breaks his heart because that's all he wanted, because he was originally had been a slave at one point and was rescued by this guy.
But it also showed the depth of Yondu's caring about Peter from the earliest start, because he broke the codes to protect Peter,
Yeah.
and he shouldn't have kept Peter, and everything that was important in Yondu's life he actually gave up to protect Peter.
Right.
So
and it would come out towards the end, as we find out, is when he was actually stealing kids from planets for Ego.
Right.
Ego was basically he was killing these kids and then he found out about it, and that's why he found out just before he got Peter, and he kept Peter. And he
Well,
kinda
Peter was
protected-
the only one that had the God gene that could survive the process.
Yeah.
was what it was.
I didn't think Yondu understood that initially, but I think he was afraid that Peter would get killed, and at that point he was like, "I'm tired of kids getting killed," because he's not a bad
Right.
guy. He's a thief. Thieves aren't always wholly bad guys when you're dealing in a universe like this.
Right.
They do bad things and that stuff. But he's like, "No, we're not killing kids. I'm not out there wiping them out." And
Right.
he wasn't going for that. And that's why we saw Yondu really take that fatherly role. And at first I think it was strictly business, and then Peter grew on him.
Yeah.
He took care of him. The joke was, that these guys wanted to eat you because they had never tasted no Terran.
Yeah. I still love that part in the first one where Peter's like, "Oh, come on, like you did me a favor, but normal people don't eat people," and then have to thank them for it.
Yeah. What we'll get with Yondu, though, is we see this full arc of him throughout this whole movie.
Mhm.
Of one is realizing that, okay, these guys that took over his ship as Ravagers, he doesn't have to take them all out. And by taking them all out, he's like, he didn't agree with them as Ravagers. He also realized he had a bigger purpose, and that was being Star-Lord's dad, protecting his son and everything that his son's believing in.
Yeah, and a big part of that was the Rocket storyline too, because I think, because Rocket and Yondu being together, it caused Yondu to recognize Rocket's feelings for Peter.
Right.
And how he was acting, and kind of reflected on himself, like, you know, that's where he's like, tells off Rocket, like, no, I know because you're me.
Yeah.
You're just like me.
And they really are, the characterization of both of them is very similar, and they push people away at the same time they're trying to stay close to them.
Right.
And that's what we see with Rocket through the whole thing, and because Rocket doesn't feel worthy because he was created by a lab of scientists, and just realize that these other Guardians, they truly love Rocket.
Yeah.
He is a part of the team, and just like Jack said, they may argue,
Yeah.
but they're still family in that.
Yeah, and then in the end, Yondu.
Yeah,
Yondu sacrifices himself to save Peter.
Well, we had the shot though before that where they're falling down and he's got his arrow holding him, kind of bringing him down.
Oh.
Star-Lord's like, "You look like Mary Poppins." Is he cool? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. Which I think is going to be the line from the movie that everybody will be quoting forever.
I'm seeing his face photoshopped on so many Mary Poppins things now. I'm Mary effing Poppins, y'all.
Yeah.
And, oh my God.
I've seen tons of those, yeah. I thought about doing some artwork based on that. We'll see, though. I definitely need to do Baby Groot.
But yeah.
With Yondu's sacrifice, though, the thing and then they go on, and Peter actually ends up defeating Ego, which when he does, I think the neat thing is he loses his godlike power, so he's now just human.
Yeah, now he's human.
And they put to rest that whole story of who is Star-Lord's father. They dealt with it in 2 movies. It's not being dragged out forever. I like the answer, because now we can go on to just other adventures tying into the other movies.
Yeah, and for a character development as far as moving forward too,
Yeah.
it gives us a fresh start now. Now we can move forward with him. And when you give someone the godlike powers, as a viewer, you lose that investment where you worry about their safety. But because he destroyed that, he gave it up to save the galaxy, we now have to worry, you know, does he survive in future episodes? There is a real danger to him because he's mortal again.
Right. So he's not going to be able to just grab an Infinity Stone.
Yeah, so then...
But with Yondu dying, I want to kind of talk about that just for a minute. The thing I saw from it, a couple things I took from it, again, watching it back to back. This is where my theory on Yondu is going forward on this. My theory is he's coming back. A couple points is, one is in the first movie, I'm an angel. Even though he's not made it out here, he says, I'm an angel, and he said that a couple times. 2 is the Mary Poppins line. While he didn't say it initially, it was thrust upon him. These are all like foreshadows. Did you notice that when the Ravagers all show up to give him the Ravager funeral, when he was basically being burned and sent out into space, his stuff formed an arrow, and it was golden.
I did notice that.
And it was going out there. I have a feeling we may not have seen the last of Yondu.
Interesting.
Not saying for sure, but to me, I saw a lot of foreshadowing, and I thought this while watching that part in the movie. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't come back. 1 is he's a very popular character.
Yeah.
2 is I think it's a shame to lose him because he brings so much to the team, and they made him part of the Guardians, which he was originally in the comics.
True.
So
I will say I hope they don't, only because I think when you take away the power of death from characters, it lessens when things happen. So I hope they don't.
If he comes back, I think it's going to have to be more than just, hey, he's back. I think it's going to have to be part of the story that it makes sense. If they do, I'm fine with it. If they don't, I'm fine with it.
Right. The thing with the Marvel movies, I will say, well, I hope they don't.
Yeah.
If they do, I feel confident they will do a good job of creating the story that would make sense.
Yes.
So I am confident in that part.
And it's not going to be like the comics where they're constantly rebooting that. We've got about 10 minutes here, so
let's get into those end sequences.
Yeah.
So in the first pre-credit end scene, I think one of the significant things too was Peter. He pretty much gets all of Yondu's stuff. He's the heir.
Right.
And him giving the arrow to Sean Gunn's character acknowledges him as a brother. It acknowledges him as he recognized that Yondu was also kind of his dad too.
Yeah.
So I think, and you can tell the joy that
he was the only one of the Ravagers that really stuck by him. Even when he kind of said, "Hey, you're doing it wrong," Yeah, he come back to him and said, I didn't mean for this to happen, I just didn't want you.
He was trying to knock sense into Yondu and show the direction he's going, and he didn't
Yeah.
expect to start a coup.
But, what was the guy's name? It was like.
Taserface.
Taserface.
Taserface was the way Rocket was totally ripping apart Taserface, making fun of his name. And,
You tell him it's Taserface, and everybody laughs at him.
and then even at the end, he's like, "Tell them Taserface was the cause of their death," and then they just laughing.
Yeah.
And then he just rolls his eyes and blows up. So that was cool. I love Drax getting shot in the neck by John Gunn's arrow there.
Yep.
Because he didn't know how to control it. And then now the second one was the Stan Lee one, if I remember right.
I think so, yes. It was, everybody online is confirming him being a watcher. He's not a watcher, in my opinion. He was reporting to the watchers, and he wants to be a watcher. Because one is, he said they're telling him all this stuff, and then they were like, they get up and walk away. He's like, well, wait a minute, guys, you guys might arrive back.
But what it does confirm is he is the same character in all the movies.
Yes.
Because some of the tales you could hear him telling came from various ones.
Yeah, he pulled from all the movies. So whenever he appears in any Marvel movie,
He is
from
the
past
same
and
character.
going forward, he's basically the same guy.
Correct. Now, I don't know about your feelings on this, but to me, I have a feeling that's the last Stan Lee cameo. I think the way they ended it, with him being stranded in space as they walk away,
Yeah.
I think was kind of a farewell.
I don't know. It may have been something that he did. I mean, he's 94 years old.
Right.
Anything can happen. They're filming Infinity War now. So I don't know if he did a cameo for that. We'll find out. They'll announce he's in it as soon as they start doing trailers.
I'm just saying, as far as story arc goes for this character that he cameos
They've
as,
ended it. So whenever we
that's a
see him
wrap.
going forward, it's just, okay, yeah, he's still there.
I have a feeling we'll see maybe nods to him,
Yeah.
but my bet is we no longer see him live as a cameo. There might be a
Well,
picture
We'll
or
find out
whatever.
Thor in November.
Thor's
And
coming
then-
up, so if he's
or,
not in there.
I wonder if he'll be in Spider-Man as well, even though that's Sony,
Although, now, Thor is in the cosmic realm now.
right?
So it could be a cameo where we see Stan Lee get a ride home.
Yeah.
That could happen too.
That would be funny. Maybe like whenever it ends, you got somebody
As
taking
Thor's
home. Yeah.
coming back, you see him like coming in through the Rainbow Bridge or something.
Well, all the end sequences for Thor should lead set up for Infinity War, where Guardians was setting up a little bit of what's going to happen for them in Infinity War, but more for their Guardians 3.
Right.
So we had that, and then we had the scene with Star-Lord and Teenage Groot.
Oh, yes.
Tell him, you got to clean, you got your branches
Clean
everywhere,
your
and
room.
leaves here, and I like the attitude they put on Teenage Groot, and he's just doing a
And he even did a very
There's a snarky.
teenager snarky, I am Groot. Back at Star. And I love Star-Lord. It's like, now I know how Yondu felt.
Yeah. Of course, speaking of Groot, did you notice through the end sequences how many times Groot took over the end titles?
Yes.
I am Groot popping up through the whole thing.
The end titles were fun, even ending with David Hasselhoff again.
Yes.
And to give out a shout out too with David Hasselhoff.
Yeah.
I just started watching Off the Record
Okay.
on Netflix. It's I guess a mockumentary you would call it.
Okay.
It's a camera crew following him trying to restart his career, and he has to audition to get the role of himself in his own movie. Like he's competing against like a little person. I don't know what the proper term is anymore, but
I think little person.
yeah. So a little person is up for the role for David Hasselhoff, and he's like, really? And they're like, well, maybe you could play 80-year-old David Hasselhoff. He's like, I'm 60. But I recommend.
Love him
checking
or
it
hate
out.
him, I love the Hoff. I like the nods. I like how he makes fun of himself through anything, and to pop up in Guardians like this and go,
Yeah.
oh, you know.
Yeah, so the third scene was the Groot scene,
Yeah.
adolescent Groot. So which means I'm assuming that means we now have teenage Groot in the next movie.
Right, which would be the Infinity. And who knows? They may even pop up in Thor since it's set in the out in space.
My gut, there's got to be something. I would think that, although I guess Infinity War could start out in space to give us the reason why they're coming to Earth,
Right.
because we know from other sources, Chris. God, there's so many Chris's. There's Evans, Hemsworth, and I'm suddenly blanking. Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
Chris Pratt confirmed he was doing scenes with Evans and Hemsworth for the Avengers, so we know
Yeah.
they're going to be there.
Well, and some of the early artwork has shown Star-Lord in that, and they said, yeah, he's in this, so they're bringing them all together. I don't know if the entire Guardians will be there. I would hope they would be in some way, shape, or form. I think all of them going against Thanos, you're going to need the full might of the Avengers and the Guardians.
Right. So what were the other two scenes? So we had, we're at Groot. I can't remember the other two. I'm blanking.
Well, we may have to talk about this next
Yeah,
week.
yeah. I'm totally blanking on what the other two scenes were all of a sudden.
It was a lot of good stuff. It was the scene with Adam Warlock. It was
Oh, yeah.
back on the planet, and they'd taken this body and they made it the most perfect body ever, which is what the character Adam Warlock was. And that's going to be the villain for the Guardians of the Galaxy 3. This is
So-
confirmed in writings online.
So Dominic is playing Adam Warlock?
Yes.
The most perfect body ever?
Yeah, the most perfect body ever. The Golden God.
Forged from...
Yeah, starring Dominic Rigatoni.
Yeah, let's go with that.
But that's what we're gonna have that. I'm really excited about that, which means after we have the Infinity War and they deal with Thanos, it kind of takes place after the Infinity Gauntlet in the comics was Infinity
Yeah.
War, which was Adam Warlock.
Now, I do want to point out, there was one huge character in Guardians that was missing, but still had a powerful part in it,
Okay.
and that was Thanos.
Yes.
We did not see him at all in this.
No, but he was mentioned through the whole thing.
That's where he had like especially where we really learn his brutality
Yeah.
was through Nebula and Gamora and their relationship and what he did to Nebula.
Which
throughout
also
that.
was a big thing on family for them,
Right.
both being sisters and the fighting they had and the animosity towards each other. I think when one was liked better than the other, when really he was playing them against
Right.
each other.
Which begs the question: where is Thanos? Are we going to see him in Thor? Is he going to have an expanded role? I
If
don't
he's
know.
not in Thor, I expect him to be in the end sequence that'll set up for that. I personally expect to see him in Thor. Thor has been really good about all they're showing is him basically losing his godlike powers in some ways. He's still powerful, but other people they shattered his hammer.
Yep, in the trailer we see
And then we
that
see
happen.
him taking on what is basically World War Hulk.
Right.
So he's up there too.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens in Thor coming up here. So
Well, I think it's time to wrap up here. We've
All
been
right.
talking for an hour, and I don't want to bore everybody too much longer, but
yep.
we can definitely talk more Guardians as it goes on and things come up from there. Any final thoughts, Scott?
Let's see, for the upcoming week, I've got a week off. Mother's Day is coming up, so I want to say Happy Mother's Day to our mothers
Yep.
in particular, but all the mothers out there.
Yep. If you got a chance, spend some time with your mom on Sunday.
Yeah, yeah,
Make her dinner, take her out to dinner. I know I'll be making mine dinner most likely.
yeah.
Whatever
And
she
then,
wants.
and then outside of that, it's a week off for me as far as shows go. And
Yeah, this is my prep week and working on my comic and
Yep.
moving on Sketch 5. I'm trying to get out soon. And,
yep. And then the week after that will be Motor City Comic
and
Con.
we're going to talk more about that. We'll
Yeah, next week we'll talk about it a
Talk a little bit with Dom about that too. And that's so. Until then, join us next time. You've been listening to the Odd Music Show
Yeah,
with your
and-
host Brett Pinson.
And Scott Zambelli, and thank you to our sponsors, T-24.com,
Yep, as well as BoomtownPress.com and
Beloved Witness
Witness.com.
Publications.
Publication. So, Dom, take us out with the music. Thank you, sir.
No music yet.
There's always
Here, Brett will sing it. All right, guys. We're signing off. Have a great day.
Fade us out, Dom. Take us out. Bye, Facebook. Bye, Facebook. Bye. Facebook.